Today we're going to look at a whole bunch of cases for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I've got probably the biggest stack of cases that I have ever gone through. The reason being is that I like to protect my phone. My iPhone 15 Pro Max is expensive and it's a device that I want to protect. Knowing that this device is a glass and titanium sandwich, I want to protect not only the back glass but the front glass from potential damage. And of course, this phone feels great in the hand without a case on it. I really do love the way that this phone feels, but knowing that the back can crack and the front can crack, I just have to have a case on my phone. And so if you are considering cases, make sure to watch this video all the way through, or perhaps there's a specific case that you're looking for. You can use the timestamps to jump around down below. So the first case that I received is a Speck Presidio grip case. This case is a case that I use pretty much on every single phone because it's consistently amazing. And so the Speck Presidio grip has one additional change this year, which is this little magnetic notch here that accepts accessories. And I was kind of excited for this because I've never been a wallet person on the back of the phone, like a MagSafe wallet, because they just kind of spin around and I just don't like how they're not super secure. Well, I think Speck recognized that as well. And with the Speck Presidio grip case, which is already a fantastic case because it has lots of grip along the sides, the buttons are very easily accessible and defined and work really well. And this case is known for its edge protection that really protects the corners of the phone with a little bit of extra hard plastic. And then just the way that the case comes off of the phone with this kind of spreading just a little bit, not hurting the case at all or the phone. Some cases are very challenging to get off of your phone, but I don't know. I have to say this mag attachment here is amazing. That snaps into place and it doesn't rotate. It's very safe and secure and then very easy to pop off. And so what's happening is the magnet is pulling this little notch down in and you can't even really tell. Maybe you could tell now. This pops out and then it sits flush. So when this is on the table, it sits flush. But when you attach it to your phone, it snaps into place and it's very safe and secure. And this is not easily coming off. So I like what Speck did there with adding an additional layer of attachment with their MagSafe wallet, which you can tell it does have the magnet in there. The magnet works, and then it also has that additional point of contact, which I like. Good job, Speck, with the additional security feature there. Speck is always a case that I go with the Presidio grip just because it's tried and true for me and it has a good amount of grip to it. But it's not the only case that I tend to spend any time with. There are a lot of other cases that we're going to look at here that I tend to enjoy different aspects of. So next we are going with a Spigen case. This is the Tough Armor case. It's a case that I often use because it's a very nice silicone type case with a small kickstand, and it does not add a ton to the phone. It does add a little bit of thickness. It is a little bit bigger of a case, but one of the things that I really like about it is the integrated kickstand. And they do it in a way where it provides the form and function of a kickstand, but it's not a massive piece of plastic sticking off the back of your device. I also love that they have a lot of coverage protection here for the camera. This case sits relatively flat, and even though it is a little bit thicker of a case, it still does work with MagSafe charging, wireless charging, pass-through. And there is a little bit more thickness to this case. I like the buttons. They're very slim. As you can see, they don't protrude. They look really nice and are easy to identify. The Tough Armor series has been around for a long time, and Spigen's made this case for other phones as well. So it's very consistent style across different types of devices if you carry other phones. But what I like about this is that it has extra padded protection inside the case. And that's something not a lot of other cases offer. And so there's that extra shock protection that the Tough Armor case provides. Next, we're going to look at a case from Elago. This is another simple case. Now, I tend to go for black cases. You'll notice that pretty much all the cases that I look at in this video are black or gray in color. And that's just a style choice, a color choice that I make. but all of these cases, or at least a majority of them, do come in different color options. Now, what I really like about this one is the soft silicone feel. This is reminiscent of Apple's silicone case. It has that soft, smooth silicone feel to it and a very minimal case with lots of protection. You've got like a rubbery protection around the camera module that provides really good protection. Those lenses aren't going to hit the table or whatever your camera may come in contact with because of that extra raised bezel around the edges. And this case has minimal to the front. It does not add a ton to the front of the phone, which some of these cases tend to kind of wrap around and cover a little bit of the front. I'd say what I don't like is how flimsy the edges of the case here around the corner of the buttons. That's an area that I would tend to maybe fidget with, and I'd be afraid that that would just loosen up and be a little floppy after a while and not be as elastic as it is right now. This case is very minimal all the way around, not a whole lot to it, but I do have to say I like the silicone feel to it. It is a smooth case, and I say for the price, it's definitely a contender against Apple's silicone case, which is definitely a lot more expensive. Now let's look at the Andar Aspen case. This is a leather case, very premium looking leather case. What I like about this case is how premium it looks. I like leather premium cases for those situations where I want to dress up my phone a little bit, and this looks really good. I love how they went with black around the camera module, because the transition from like brown leather, natural leather look to the camera module would be a bit much if there wasn't that. So I like that the accent around the camera module with the black plastic protection and then the black leather. And I also like the black buttons as well. A really nice contrast between the brown leather and the black buttons and the black protection around the camera module. Good openings around the ports and the speakers. I mean, everything is pretty well put together on this case. The edges of the buttons are a little, I don't want to say sharp is the right word for it, but they're definitely not smooth. I can feel my finger kind of grabbing on the edge of the buttons. I don't know if I necessarily like that, but maybe that's just because all of the other cases that I've been looking at so far are relatively smooth. So the buttons do protrude a little bit. The edges are a little bit grabby, if that's the right word for it, but not a big deal. It's just something that I noticed initially. Overall, I do like this case. I think it's a very sophisticated looking case. I love the color choices and how they designed this case overall. Looks really good on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now let's take a look at an Otterbox case. This is the Lumen series case. This case I purchased directly from Apple. The time that I ordered my iPhone 15 Pro Max, it was one of the case options on the Apple website. And it's been a while since I have had an Otterbox case. So I thought I would give it a try and check it out. Overall, I like this case. I'm not a huge fan of these see-through cases, even though I do like that we can see the Apple logo, the true color of the phone, and that is something that I miss because I always order like this color of phone, and I would prefer if I could see the phone, but these types of cases typically smudge or pick up fingerprints. You can see there's some stuff right there. And even though the technology is, as far as like silicone cases have come a long way and they're not as smudgy as they used to be, I don't know, you end up getting maybe a little bit of lint and stuff in there from the phone going in and out of your pocket. And these types of cases just don't necessarily do it for me. But overall, I do like this case as far as the protection that it provides. Otterbox has always made great cases. The buttons feel really good on this case. Camera module protection is not any more than it really needs to be, just a little bit more of a raised edge than what it would need to keep the cameras from coming in contact with a surface. So I like the minimalism there. Overall, this case is a nice looking case. It feels really good in the hand, but for me, just the transparent back is something that I tend to shy away from. If that's a case style that you're going for, there probably is no better case than this, just because Otterbox makes great cases. This case fits well and it feels really good. So now let's move on to the woven case from Apple. You know, they used to have leather cases, and I was a big fan of the Apple leather case, but this year they went to a woven case. And I've spent a little bit of time with this case already, and I like it, but it's definitely something different to get used to. This line of Apple's cases are very minimal. They don't take up any more space than they need to, and they do their best to maintain the original feel of the iPhone, which I really appreciate. This doesn't feel much different than the iPhone would feel without the case. What I have to say is the woven material feels really nice. It feels like a really high-end bed sheet. I don't know, to give an example. It just is really smooth and is different than what I'm used to. I'm used to the leather case, which is maybe a little bit more slick and has a bit of a texture to it. This woven case definitely feels really nice. It has that like nice high-end laundry feel to it. I do like it. It's a different texture. It's something that I'm not used to from Apple. But I have to say it has been growing on me, even though I do find myself going back to the Speck case just because of the grippiness factor of that case. This case is just very enjoyable. It feels premium, and the texture on the back with the tight woven material just feels really nice. But it is a little bit different of a case. You can see there's a little bit of a transition here between the woven material and the side of the case, which is not a big deal. It does feel nice, and I'd say if it was the woven material all the way around, that would be an interesting experience. But overall, I mean, this is definitely a case that I'm going to keep on hand, because when I don't want the more rugged look of the Presidio Grip Speck case, I want something a little bit more clean and simple. This is definitely a case that I'm going to go to, being that it is Apple's replacement for the leather case that they don't seem to make anymore. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of this case manufacturer, but I decided to order this case off of Amazon because it was recommended and it had a lot of good reviews, so I thought I would give it a try. Now, this case so far is kind of reminiscent of the Otterbox case, similar style, but this has the smoked back as opposed to it being completely transparent. I tend to lean towards the cases that have more of a smoked backing to it, simply because it doesn't show the fingerprints and the lint or different things that might get into the case like a transparent case does. I do have to say I love the buttons on this case. They feel really nice. They're not sticking out too far. They're very responsive. I love the protection around the camera module, how it kind of steps down. Most camera lenses have like a threaded face on the camera lens for filters and stuff like that. This kind of steps down and is reminiscent of a camera lens. And so I like the design style that they went with here, kind of making it look more like a camera. And overall, I'd say this case is a nice case. I know that it is one of the more budget-friendly cases, and everything about this case feels pretty decent to me. It has that silicone feel to it, not a super soft silicone feel, but it is really smooth and easy. The transitions between the back and the sides, a little bit of a ridge there, but feels really nice. And of course, this case, like every case that we've looked at so far, is MagSafe compatible. But overall, this is a really nice case. I have to say I'm pretty impressed from a brand that I have not heard of before and definitely cannot pronounce the name of. So now let's move on to Torras. I've looked at Torras cases in almost every case video that I've done for several years, and the Torras case is definitely a favorite of mine because of its simplicity and just how clean of a case it is. Now, this is going to be probably one of the more minimal cases that we look at that does not add much to the phone at all. And I like that about Torras's case here. Very minimal, but adds protection around your phone. It's going to protect that back glass. It's going to protect that camera module. Very minimal and simple buttons going all the way around that are very responsive buttons, and not a lot around the edges of the phone. It does raise up just a little bit to provide protection. I do have a screen protector on my phone, so I'd say that these are basically at the same plane. So the screen protector would maybe just rub against a table if I was to put my phone face down. That is because I have a screen protector on it. If I didn't have a screen protector, the case would handle that for me. This has that very similar kind of smooth silicone feel, not a soft feel to it, but very smooth. And this is more of a hard case than it is very flexible. So I'd have to say this case is the best for somebody wanting something extremely minimal that's not going to add much to the bulk of their phone. Now, a favorite case of mine from the past is somewhat back from Pelican. I used to use Pelican phone cases years ago, but I don't know what happened. Either they stopped making them for a while or their design choices changed or something. But Pelican seems to be back with some cases and some different case options. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about this case from Pelican. Now, it adds a ton of protection. You can see it's added a bit of thickness to the phone, lots of protection to the phone, and that definitely is the direction that they're going for with this case. Now, they used to have a thinner case that was very protective but didn't add a whole lot of bulk to the phone. And this is definitely not that case. But Pelican is known for creating cases and products that protect your equipment. And their cases for your smartphone have been great. So I understand why they went with this design choice. Having the case be relatively thick on the sides but taper down into the back is going to allow for MagSafe still to work. And this case does work with MagSafe and has built-in magnets of its own to make that magnetic connection stronger, especially considering your phone is going to weigh a bit more and has a bit more going on. But for me, I don't know. This case is great. For protection, it's definitely one of the better cases that we've looked at so far just because of the bulk. You can see the thickness that it adds to the side because that's where the phone ends and here's where the case ends. It does add a lot. For me, it is a bit much. It's more than I would need, but if I was in situations where I really needed my phone to be protected because it's going to come in contact with a lot, potentially be dropped from time to time, or be put on surfaces that have lots of variations to it where the phone could slip and fall, this is definitely the case I would go with because it adds a ton of protection. But for me, it does add a bit much. I have to say, I think that Pelican did a good job with this case, figuring out a way to make their case very protective without making the entire phone super thick. When you're holding onto this case, it definitely doesn't feel like the case is as thick as it really is. For me, it is a bit much of a case, but that might be what you're looking for, is something that adds a lot of protection to your phone without making the phone seem super thick. The next case we're going to look at is from Goospery. Goospery has sent me a lot of cases. They have a lot of different case options, but I'm looking at this one because I thought it was a really interesting integration of a wallet. Most cases have maybe like a slot for a few cards or something like that, or maybe they're a full folio case that covers up the entire front of your phone in order to get additional card storage. But on the back here, you've got easy access card storage. And then if you open up the flap, you've got an additional 4 slots of space here. Now, keep in mind, if you put a bunch of cards over on this side, it's going to affect wireless charging, and MagSafe is not going to work. But MagSafe does work if you don't put any cards in this section and instead use the flap as well. Now, this is non-removable. As you can see, it's part of the case, and so that might be a concern to you. But it also means that you're not going to accidentally lose it because it's MagSafe connected and maybe gets bumped or comes off when you pull the phone out of your pocket, something like that. This is much more secure. So I like this case from Goospery because it kind of has that like faux leather feel. On the sides of the case, feels good. It also has a loop right here for a lanyard, should you want to attach a lanyard to it. And it has good cutouts for all of the buttons, and everything seems to work very smoothly. When I did put this case on initially, this button seemed to not work really well, but it's just because I needed to make sure that the case was well seated up and over the sides of the phone. So overall, I like this case. I'm not so much a wallet case person, but if I was, this would give me the flexibility to have multiple cards. They wouldn't necessarily have to be rubbing up against each other because there's lots of cutouts here for individual card slots, including easy access to one on the back. Caseology's Parallax series case has always been a favorite of mine, simply because I love the back. I love this design, this kind of 3D design that they have and the texture that it brings on the back of the case. Very minimal branding, and then a transition here to a texture that's both on the top and the bottom. What this case gives you is a nice look and feel and design while having a little bit of grippy texture. Think about the times where you set this phone maybe on your pant leg, or you set it on the couch or something like that. And a lot of the slippery cases your phone will just slide right off. This has enough of a grip to really hold on, but not being overly aggressive with that design choice. It has ridging on the side, which is good for just keeping a good hold on your phone and feeling like you've got a secure grasp on it. Very minimal around the camera module, but still keeping it protected. And the Parallax series case has just always been a favorite of mine, and it's very consistent design around all of the other phones that they make cases for with this Parallax look. And so this case is just, I don't know, it's always been one of my favorites just because I love the textured feel on the back with the design and the transition between the grip on the top and the bottom, which is kind of like a smooth, almost fabric-y feel, but I know it's not fabric, but it does have that feel to it. So Parallax case from Caseology, always a nice case and consistent. across all the different devices. So definitely one to check out. Now, one of the cases that spent a lot of time on my iPhone 14 Pro Max was this Kevlar case from Benks. It's made with actual Kevlar and really protects the phone. It's got good protection around the camera module with minimal branding, but overall it's a relatively thin case made out of Kevlar, and you know that it's going to provide good protection all the way around. Now, the Kevlar backing goes to the edges, and then of course it's like a silicone that goes around the outer edges of the phone. And I like that because it gives me a very subtle grip to the phone, having that silicone as opposed to it being something really slippery like the Kevlar. Of course, the Kevlar on the back has really micro texture to it, and you can kind of feel that if you run your fingernails across it. But I love the look and the feel of the Kevlar. It's just a nice choice, and I know it's going to provide a good amount of protection should the back of my phone come in contact with something. So overall, this is a great case. I love the choice that they went with on the action button, putting a little bit of an accent in it, which definitely is reminiscent of the button on the side of the Apple Watch Ultra. And so it's very consistent there with the design, and I like that about this case. So the Benks Kevlar case is a great option if you want good protection on a thin and lightweight case with a nice style to it that's not super aggressive. Next, we're looking at a case from Caseborne. This is the Armadillotek case, and it is a big case. It adds a lot, but it's going to add a lot of protection as well. Comes with a lot, and a lot that you can do with this case. It comes with screen protectors, so you get 2 screen protectors in case you make a mistake applying one or need a backup screen protector. Also comes with cleaning materials and stuff you can use to clean off your phone. I do already have a screen protector on my phone. So this case is a 2-piece case, and so you're going to slide your phone into the outer shell, which is going to snap onto the face of your phone like so. And then your phone is going to slide into the backing of the case, which is going to provide all of the protection. You need to work this case around the inner shell and just make sure that everything seats properly. There's a lot to cases like this because of the fit, but the protection that they provide is really unmatched just because there's so much between your phone and the outside world when it has a case like this on it. So not too big of a deal there getting that installed. Definitely snapped together nice. Very simple backing here. Almost looks like there's a hinge on the camera module. And so, yeah, there is in fact a hinge. And that's interesting. You would think, why on earth would they put a hinge on the camera module? Why would you need that? Well, it can act as a kickstand. And so now our phone has a kickstand that is dual use. I've really never seen anything like this before. Usually the kickstand is built into the back of the case, and it's something that either protrudes or is maybe embedded but can collect lint. I don't know, just issues can happen with that. But it's an extra piece that's on your device. Whereas this is utilizing something that all cases already have as a feature, which I think is actually pretty stinking smart. And so it's definitely not for portrait mode, but works fantastic in landscape mode and gives you a nice strong handle. Essentially, I guess you could use it as that, but I probably wouldn't use it as a handle. But it works well as a kickstand, and that is a very interesting feature and a smart design choice from Caseborne. You also get a belt clip that is reversible, and so you could put the phone in here with the face of the phone facing inward for ultimate protection, or you can pop it around and utilize this in the other direction as well so that you can see your phone. And then, of course, this rotates around so that you can orient that however you would like for your belt or your pocket or the visor in your vehicle or wherever you're going to attach this. And it as well can be used as a kickstand, or you could just clip your phone on anything. Definitely the phone doesn't seat super well in here with the camera module back there. So this is definitely going to work better when your phone is inward facing. So that way everything seats. And this release snap here is covering the outside of the phone, making sure that it is securely attached so your phone doesn't pop out. I'd say Caseborne did a great job with this case ultimate protection from this Armadillotek series case. They're based out of Frisco, Texas, which is cool because I have been there and I know some people that live near there. And so that's kind of a cool thing that Caseborne is down there in Frisco, Texas. So the real question is, how much time is it going to take me to get this case off of my phone? The last case that we are going to look at in this video is a case from Popsocket. That's right, Popsocket makes cases that have integrated pop sockets into the back of the case, which is great because having a way to hold on to your phone is relatively important. I recently made a video where we looked at all sorts of different attachable straps and connectable things for our phones to make it easier to hold on to our phones. So if you want an alternative to pop sockets, or even to see the Popsocket MagSafe attachment, definitely check out that video. I'll make sure to link to it below. The Popsocket case has kind of a shiny, smooth, slick silicone side to it with more of a matte finish on the back. I like the matte finish on the back and kind of wish that that matte finish continued around the sides, as I'm not a shiny, glossy phone case type of person. The Popsocket doesn't sit flush, but that's okay because the Popsocket is actually MagSafe removable. This essentially is what I looked at from Popsocket in that other video that I just talked about. And I love the fact that you can remove the Popsocket from the back. I've never been a huge Popsocket fan because they used to have to be attached with adhesive, meaning you couldn't take them off. And I haven't yet to see a person's Popsocket that doesn't look nasty, and I just wasn't a choice that I decided on for myself. But since Popsocket has been taking advantage of MagSafe, it's been a probably huge win for the rest of us that we're not Popsocket fans, because now I am a Popsocket fan, thinking that I don't have to have this on the back of my phone all the time. I could attach it to my phone when I want to use it, and I could take it off when I don't. And being that you get not only a nice case from Popsockets, but also a MagSafe removable Popsocket, means that this is not going to interfere with your MagSafe operations on the back of your phone, as well as wireless charging, which is something that the Popsocket would have caused an issue with had you have to attach it via adhesive or if it was non-removable. So I think Popsocket has really done a good job of giving us what we want with an attachable device that gives us the ability to hold on to our phone, more stability there that we can't get just from having a case with a little bit more grip, while still giving us the MagSafe capabilities of our device. And so I have to say, I do really like this combination, and I'm glad that MagSafe has gotten away, or been able to get away, from the adhesive type devices that we've been used to of the past. So good job with Popsocket and their MagSafe Popsocket. I think it's a great combination, and the case is pretty darn decent. With the only thing that I'd change would be the glossiness on the side, but overall a really nice case, very well put together, and integrates well with the Popsocket, and then of course will work well with all of your other MagSafe devices. As if there wasn't enough cases in this video, I've got a late arrival from Encased here. They sent me a few different cases to check out. So we're taking a look at their case that comes with a MagSafe ring. So transparent on the back, maybe a light smoking to it. I think it's pretty transparent though. Nice grip around the sides, good buttons that work well, and also a very strong magnet in this. So this attachable device works really well. This is MagSafe compatible case, but this device allows you to kickstand your phone and also utilize it just for some additional support. So a nice addition. Most of their cases do come with something. For example, this case has a built-in, more elastic type of band. And then this other case here has a MagSafe wallet as well. And there's other options available besides that. I'll make sure to link to Encased down below, along with all the other cases that we've looked at in this video. So ultimately, what's my favorite case? Well, if you've been watching any of my videos over the last several years where I review and discuss different cases, you know that I am kind of a diehard Speck case fan, and I tend to always go back to my Speck case. Number one, they're super easy to clean. The way that these cases are made with the materials they're made out of are really easy to clean. I clean these cases all year. I'm often cleaning my iPhone case just because it doesn't matter what case you use, it's going to get kind of funky. And so keeping the case clean, it doesn't affect the color, the function, nothing about the case. And using one of these Speck cases over the course of an entire year, the cases barely show any sign of wear other than maybe just some smudging, and everything tends to wipe off really well. Not that many of the other cases wouldn't have the same experience, but I know what to expect with the Speck case because I've purchased it so many times. I also really like the Benks case just because of the thin, simple style to it, with having that rugged Kevlar look, and it's just an overall great case. And I definitely am going to spend more time with the Apple Fine Woven case because I like the way it feels. It's just nice and maybe a little bit more cozy, if that's the appropriate term to use, for a phone case, while not adding a lot to my phone. But overall, all of these cases I thought were pretty interesting in the way that they perform. And that's why many of them I purchase off of Amazon so that I can try them out again and test them with the latest phones. And of course, a few companies send me cases as well, like Caseborne and Goospery did. So let me know what your favorite case was down in the comment section below. What's the go-to case for you? I'd love to check that out. So share that with me down in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I put out new videos. We'll see you in the next one.